Pam.
Pam? I meant to say Bam, but I said Pam. Who's Pam?
Oh, Jim and Pam. The Office.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Tying it
Okay.
back
Yeah.
to
Office.
episode 1. I've got a concept in mind for an opening. I've been trying to make it, but it just hasn't been up to my standards at the moment.
Yeah, I'm good with like everything else in between in a podcast, but opening and ending, horrible.
Yeah. I have got some isolated Hayley Williams vocals that I'm trying to work into it.
You're pandering to me.
No,
That's
there's
pandering.
like a couple of lines.
I'm not mad. Please pander away.
There's a couple of lines in a song that I'm like, okay, yeah, this kind of works for an opening, and well, especially for this show. And then so I'm just trying to find something that it fits with because she sings
Now I'm
very
curious.
fast.
She does. And one thing about Hayley that's very good is that she has a very recognizable voice.
Yes, she does. She does indeed.
It's like you hear that and you're just like, that's Hayley.
Yeah.
I will never stop loving. She is like God to me. She's just like up above, and I'm like, I will do anything for this woman. Which is fair. I mean, Hayley seems like a great person.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, one time I seen her in a concert, she spat into the air and caught it into her mouth. But
That's awesome.
yeah, I was kind of there for it, you know?
Yeah, no, I get that. I've seen them 3 times. 3 times. Twice Paramore concert, and then I was a Soundwave boy, so I went to Soundwave, seen them. So, yeah, and I'm going back in Melbourne in November. So, listen, if you use Hayley Williams' isolated vocals...
They're just very fast. It's hard to get anything to go with it because she sings very fast. But I'm working on it. I'm working on it. But
Have you noticed, by the way, if you're watching on the video version, I have a new stream light. I don't know if anyone can tell, but I better lighting.
I have noticed that there's usually a sparkle to the background of yours, but there's nothing.
Oh, I have other lights on, but I don't have them on today. But I've got new stream lighting that makes my face look a little like, okay, let's go. But I'm noticing today I'm very tired, so I'm very sorry about my dark circles around my eyes. It's been a wild week. We record on a Wednesday, as I said, this is midweek, but it's been a week. Work is kicking my butt, but that's okay. I don't fucking sugarcoat anything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everything just happens.
Yeah, work is absolutely killing me at the moment. I actually tried on the weekend to set up my garage here as like a space where I could have a bit of a background. But it turns out, after all the time I spent cleaning it out, getting it ready for somewhere to go, there is no PowerPoint in the garage.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
So now I've got to get someone in to put a PowerPoint in. But
I respect the commitment to the bit, but man, I'd just say call it a day. That's fine by me. Like I'd be like, somewhere else. I mean, I've got my little space. I've got like a little corner of my living room. I have a very open plan kind of home, but like I've got a little corner of my my living room that is just my little zone. I have all my little crap over here, and then some stuff off camera is like more Crows things. I have like jumpers and stuff, like my gather round, it's a whole thing, but I have my little corner. So, but it does feel, when you set up a space, you would know this if you've been setting up your garage for it. It's very, I don't know, there's something about it that's just like, you just sit in the chair and you're like, oh, this is my little zone where I can just kind of be free.
yeah, that's right. I was going to set up like an exercise bike and stuff in there and stuff, try, get healthy, get, pumped. It was a bit of a warm weekend. Tried to jump in the pool after a bit of work in the garage, and it was not warm enough for the pool. The pool had not warmed up.
No, it's not quite there, but it is like, it's September and it's pretty hot for September.
Yeah, today was a bit miserable, but that's all right.
We have like bushfires going on in this country, do we not?
Do we?
New South Wales?
Oh, yeah, they do
Yeah,
actually.
New Sydney.
Yeah, when I was in Sydney
Yeah, they have
last
heaps.
week, the forecast on the, like, all the weather sites was like 23 and smoky. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Which is like not, well, our fire season usually starts in November, I want to say. But we're in that like El Nino crap this year, so it's going to be like a long, dry summer. Which I'm not here for summer. I'm not a summer guy. I like cold weather. So I'm really not here to catch on fire for the next 6 to 7 months.
I'm like the kind of person that's like, by the end of winter, I'm like, bring on summer and some warm weather. But by the middle of summer, I'm like, I need some colder weather.
I need hoodies. I need trackies. That's my vibe.
Oh,
I'm not, you know.
I love a
whatever.
shorts and Birkenstocks kind of day.
Really?
Yeah. Although in winter, I love it Birkenstocks and socks kind of day.
I'm just like, I want more layers, the better for me. I'm just like, let's just get as many layers as possible. But yeah, it's gonna be I think by November, December, I'll be complaining so hard about how hot it is because I just be like, I'm so sick of running the air conditioner and not being able to sleep. And because it does, like, I know it's not the hottest place in the country, but we do get pretty warm around here.
I know
Adelaide does as well, but yeah, it's I don't like it. I don't love it. I will whinge, but I'll whinge when it's cold too. So whatever.
Yeah, me too. I usually don't feel the cold, but this year I've felt the cold.
The older I get, the more I feel the cold.
Yeah, definitely. And the worse I get with the heat as well. I just, my body is turning on me the older I get.
I'm on board with that. I hate everything, really.
I'm going to press go on this number generator and see the question, because I'm hoping luck has on the side that it's a nice, light, funny one tonight, because I got some heavy topics that I want to bring up in a second.
And we went deep last week too,
Yeah.
which I'm not mad at, by the way, everybody, but I guess it's the kind of vibe of this show. We have some people that listen to both episodes and they're like, if people know us, people that know you and people that know me, either both of us or separately, are like, wouldn't really expect that from you. And I'm like, yeah, well, neither would I, but that's I guess the point of this.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to press go, and the number today is 83.
83. I think we had like 90 something last week.
Yeah, I think it was 92.
So that's kind of nice.
83.
It's 83.
Oh, this one might take a little bit of time to think about, and it's going to be a great way to end the show with what I'm about to bring up and what we might talk about on the lead up to that. But 83 is, what's something that made you smile recently?
Oh, what's something that made me I actually have something perfect, unless you want to go first.
No, you do it. Do it. Go for it.
I don't have it around with me, so I can't show everybody, but I can tell you. So I think I've even posted this on social media, but that doesn't matter. So I have a very lovely friend. I like I've said in this show previously, I think I said it in the first episode, I live a little outside of Adelaide. I just kind of say Adelaide in general because it's just much easier to explain than, and giving out my exact location is not sometimes great to put out on the internet if you don't know me that well. But I live in a relatively small town, and I'd like to say, like, I have good quality friends, but, like, quality over quantity. I don't have lots of friends, but I think it's better to have good quality than just going for numbers. But I have this lovely friend. She is a very nice person, and she's just, those friends that you can just kind of invite to anything, even if they're not really interested in something. You just kind of like, you'll come with me, and they just have a good time because they're just happy to be invited. Yep. So this lovely person, let's for podcast sake call her Jennifer. Jennifer, I said, hey, you wanna just vibe? Come to the footy with me. She's never been a footy person. She kind of, like most Australians, she knows what it is. She kind of, understands the kind of, okay, it's a sport, whatever. She never had been to a footy game. She come to 4 or 5 games with me this year to Adelaide Oval to watch the Crows. She was into it. She was like, hell yeah, this is a really fun time. Anyway, so the last Adelaide Crows home game, against the Sydney Swans, we won't get into that. I was like, as most Crows fans were, I was pretty heated at the end of that game. Just put it that way. She kind of was just like, I'm going to catch the bus. I'll let you cool down. I'm going to go home. I was like, no problemo. Anyway, long story short, after all of these times that she's been to the thing with me, I lent her some merch to wear to the game. You know, a beanie, a scarf. You know, to get her in the
Yeah, the
in the
vibe, the
spirits and to
spirit.
kind of
Yeah.
get the vibes. I'm like, here you go. Like, I have heaps of crap. Take some of this. So we work in the same place. I went to work like the Tuesday or Wednesday after the game, and she left a little thing in my locker at work, and she put a little note on the beanie, and she left me this nice long message that said, "Thank you for including me. Thank you for making me feel welcome. Thank you for including me in your footy bubble. I know how much it means to you, and that means it means a lot to me." So I was like, "Oh, that's really nice that she left me a handwritten note, by the way, which is it doesn't really happen that often." I was like, it just feels nice to be like, hey, yeah, I included you in this thing. I know you don't really like it, but she was just happy to be invited, happy to be included, and happy to have a good time. So that made me smile, Riz. I'm like, oh, I'm a good friend. It
Yeah.
made me feel nice about myself.
That's so good.
So, yeah.
That is.
Yeah, Jennifer, for podcasting.
Yeah, that is really sweet. Yeah, that's nice. Nice. Yeah. I don't know what to say. That is nice. It made
It's
me
just a nice
smile just
story.
hearing about it.
But
Yeah.
I guess it just, I know it might not mean a lot to some people. It's like, Josh, it's a handwritten note. Get over it. But it was just like unexpected. And like, she did not have to do that. And she was just like, thank you. And she's like, I'm so sorry the footy gods were not with your team this season. And I was like, me too, friend. Me too.
Yeah, just on that, before I go on to my one, just last night, actually. So, as we were talking about, just before we pressed record, I've been having an absolute horrid run at work the last couple of weeks. Just, abusive boss, just getting caught in the crossfire all the time. And I said something to our dear friends at the project in one of the many chats that we have. And every single one of them reached out, if not personally or in the group chat, just to be like, hey, you're right. Give me a call if you need anything. And just to know that you've got that support there is so nice. Like, I'll be fine. But just to know that
even if you don't use that support, it's just like, okay, if crap hits the fan, I got someone to lean on.
Not that I don't have that in my amazing girlfriend and stuff like that. It's just, it's a nice little community that they've got there, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. So that was one thing, but one question I wanted to ask you I'll finish with what made me smile recently, just so we pick it up. Now, I don't know, hopefully you're comfortable talking about this, but I know mental health is a big thing amongst everyone, and everyone struggles with it at some point. Now, past week and a half, I've absolutely been killing myself with it, and I've been probably the lowest I've been in a long time. Now, it's nothing to do personally with my personal life, but it's just, work getting to me. How do you manage your mental health? Do you have any tricks or tips or solutions? Or what works for you? Not that I'm saying it works for everyone, but I just think it's a good thing to chat about and get the ideas out there.
Yeah, no. I'm an open book with everything. I don't preach my ways on people by any means, but if someone asks me, I'll have the chat. Because I think it's also a good thing, not to be cliche, but I think it is good to talk about it, because it's 99.9% of people have had issues sometimes with their brain. So I guess it's completely understandable and normal to listen. Like, you just go through ebbs and flows. I am open about the fact that I know it's like a buzzword to say you deal with anxiety and depression in this day and age, because I think people abuse what those actually mean, which is a conversation for another day. But I am very open with the fact that I have to take certain medications to manage myself. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, with asking for help. It took me a long time to get to a place where I was like, hey, feeling like this all the time isn't actually that normal. So it took me a long time, and it took me to a level of maturity in my brain to go, you know what? I'm not actually like I always felt like if I admitted that I was struggling, I was losing. Like my mind was
Yeah.
winning. But that's not the case. It actually helps a lot. Took me a little bit, but um, for me, I think sometimes I'm going to get to the answer to the question.
Hey,
It's a long-winded
that's
way to do
fine.
it, but I think for me, sometimes people are like, "Oh, you suffer with anxiety and forms of depression." Just means you're constantly sad. That is like furthest from the truth. I when I'm down, I find that I'm very like my mood changes a lot. Like 1 minute I'll be sad and wanting to cry, and then an hour later I'm like dancing around and I'm happy and I'm on this big high, and then it just kind of goes in waves. Like it's not just depression doesn't mean just like you're constantly
Yeah.
sad. That is I mean it's different for everybody. For me it just means I'm just like a roller coaster of
Mm.
emotions. Like I'm angry, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm lonely, all of these kind of things. For me, what I found that works, and it took me a long time to get the right balance of what my doctor wants from me, and speaking to different helpers or whatever you want,
Yeah.
counselors, psychiatrists, whatever you want to call them. Trying to get the kind of right balance of me trying to find that balance in my brain of like I don't want to over medicate myself here where I'm so reliant that if I was to stop doing this one day I would just crash, but also just trying to find like a happy medium of what works and what helps my body, because anyone that takes kind of those kind of medications knows that it does other things to your body, and then you get depressed in other areas of your life, and whatever it may be. For me to combat that kind of stuff though, um I guess it is really different for everybody, so I don't want to sound like I'm preaching and being like this is the way to do it, but I have a mine stems my depression side of things, my anxiety side of things is I probably have undiagnosed ADHD and I just cannot concentrate. As you know, I talk with my hands a lot, I move around a lot. I can't help that. It's just the way I am. But for me with the depression side of things, it's mine stems from I think probably like everyone's childhood trauma, that I'm sure I'll bring up on one episode of this show when we get a little bit heavier and when I'm kind of feeling okay to talk about that. But mine probably stems from that kind of going into my early 20s. A lot of it stems from I wasn't comfortable with myself as a person, so that kind of adds another layer of that on. Not to bat home the gay crap too much, but that, you know, that kind of stems on you as well. Mine stems from abandonment, loneliness. So when I'm weakest when I'm alone and when I feel alone, and that doesn't necessarily mean just because I'm on my own or not in a relationship right now or whatever. Sometimes that can be in a crowd full of people and you're like, whoa, I'm isolated. I feel like I'm on my own
I get
here.
that. Yeah.
It can mean, yeah, it's a big, like sometimes I'm surrounded by people I love the most, and that's when I feel the downest.
Mm.
And sometimes when I'm on my own, just kind of hanging out, that's when I feel the best.
Mm.
It changes day to day. But for me, I try to distract myself, surround myself with things that I love. If that means just having an extra scoop of ice cream for that day, that helps that day. If that just means watching some football or watching some professional wrestling and just allowing myself to get lost in that and try to not think about anything else. Does it always work? No.
Yeah.
It's different every day. Sometimes it's just simply, I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to, I'm going to eat an apple. I'm going to go for a run. Like, I find exercise does help a lot. I know, when people used to say that to me, like, oh, exercise will help you. And I'm like, how the hell is that going to help my brain?
Yeah.
I don't understand what you're saying until you actually do it. So sometimes it's just simply going for a walk for 20 minutes. And you're like, wow, this actually music is a really big thing for
Yeah.
me too. Sometimes I can just zone out for hours and just listen to music that I love. And yeah, just trying to get lost in the things that I like the most. So it changes all the time, and I know that's a very long-winded answer.
No, definitely.
But yeah, it's not the same for everybody.
No.
It is everyone's brain is very different. The human brain is a horrible, wonderful thing. So yeah, it's just for me knuckling down and just trying to surround myself with the things I love the most, or like I said, any given day, it could be just shutting off. And sometimes the best thing to do is allow yourself to feel the feelings that you're feeling and just let your kind of body do its thing. But yeah, so Yeah, I have no problem talking about that kind of stuff because it's day to day, dude. It is day to day.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And I guess the reason that I ask is I'm very interested to see how different people find their way through it. So, like, I've found my way that works for me. Like, do I preach about it? If someone asks me, I'll speak about it forever. But I think, like, my philosophy behind it is, like, accepting that you're going to have bad days, that they're going to happen, and just, like, not letting them compile into bad weeks or bad months. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know if you've heard of the Resilience Project or a guy called Hugh Van Cuylenberg.
I have
So
not.
this man changed my life, and I've told him such, and it would have been very awkward for him, me just confessing my basic love for him. Um, but he's got a program called the Resilience Project, and he's got a couple of books about. So basically, in a nutshell, his growing up, his sister was very badly anorexic to the point of hospitalization, and he didn't sort of get it. He became a teacher because he wanted to help kids not become like his sister. Ended up taking a teaching job as like a volunteer teacher in a village in India, at the top of India near sort of Nepal, and this town had an electricity, but it couldn't afford to turn the electricity on. It didn't have running water, and he went to this school, and there was about 30 kids in this school, and they were the happiest kids he's ever met in his life. And he was like, how do these kids have absolutely nothing but are so much happier, where I grew up in a pretty good household, and my sister was so unhappy. How do I fix this? Well, not how do I fix this, but he was going to stay for 1 week. He ended up staying for 3 months to try learn from these kids. So basically the motto is GEM, so gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness. So the kids meditated every day, and they pointed out things that they were grateful for. So now I've read the book a couple of times, and I've read both of his books, and he has a gratitude journal. So basically, a long way of getting to every night I write in a gratitude journal. So the one that their company does has a different question in it every night, or a couple of questions, and then asks you 3 things that went well for you during that day. Now, when I spoke to him, I said to him that I'd just got to like 330 days straight without missing a night. And he was like, that's incredible. Most people last like 2 weeks and then they forget about it. The only other person that he's heard of going longer than what I had was Dusty Martin, because he worked with Richmond Football Club, and Dusty does it every night, and he's up to about 1,500 or something. But yeah, so that's what works for me. I write in my gratitude journal, and some nights it's easier than others, and other nights you've really got to rack your brain about something that went well for you, because at the moment, like, I go to work at the moment and just walking on eggshells, getting everything. So it's like, okay, what did go well for me today? Like yesterday and today was a bit easier because I had Rory last night, so that's a big thing for me. I love driving in the car with him, having a chat about whatever. But the couple of days before, oh shit, what went well? I got to listen to a great podcast, you know. I had a really nice dinner, whatever. Just trying to find little wins throughout your day. I think it definitely, well, it probably won't work for everyone, and it come into my life at the right time. But yeah, so gratitude journaling and just trying to be mindful, because what I've learned is the first week that I was writing in my journal, it was like, okay, what am I doing? Oh, yeah, just write this, write that. But then after about a week or two, you like start looking for it throughout your day. And then the more and more you get into the habit of that, the more you're like, oh, how good's this coffee? I'm going to have to remember that for tonight. You know, you start looking for those little wins, then you can bank those little wins into bigger ones, and then, but yeah. So I find when I'm, sleeping decently and journaling, I mean, exercise definitely would help if I could get that into my life. But yeah, if I'm journaling and sleeping decently, then I'm usually okay. Eating well is a big one for me as well. If I'm eating terribly, I'm cactus.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. That was just something I thought I'd bring up because I have had an absolute stinker ever since I got back from Sydney. It's been no good.
How was your Sydney trip, by the way? I'm sure everyone's waiting in anticipation from last week about your Sydney trip. You really hyped it up so well.
It was... So I went over there. I told the guys I went over with, how can I put them? Well, one of them's like 50 and from southern Adelaide. So you can imagine the kind of political views and stereotypical political views that a 50-year-old white bogan, let's call him bogan, would have. So he's never tried Indian food before. So we went to an Indian restaurant and he freaked out about it. Some of the best Indian I'd ever eaten in my life. And he was like, oh, this is pretty good. But then we were walking back through this part of Sydney we were staying, and it was in Pride Square. So you can imagine the kind of people who are around there.
Mm-hmm.
But he was so oblivious to it. He had no idea. And we went into a pub to have a couple of drinks after we had dinner. And I could quite clearly tell that it was a gay pub, which, whatever, and they had no idea. They literally had no idea. And then we walked out and we got to the elevator and I was like, because he always brings it up at work. No, I wouldn't go into a gay pub. And then I'm like, why though? Like, what's your problem? No gay person is going to try, like, how good looking do you think you are that you would go into a gay bar and everyone would hit on you? Like,
oh
how
my God,
arrogant.
the typical straight man thing. Oh my God.
Exactly. It's like, who do you actually think you are? And so I was like, we got into the elevator and he was oblivious, like walked through Pride Square and he had no idea where we were. And so we got into the elevator. I was like, big day for you today. He's like, what do you mean? It's only 10 o'clock. I'm like, no, you had your first Indian meal and had your first drink at a gay bar. He's like, I did not go to a gay bar. I'm like, yeah, you did, buddy. Yeah, you did. He's like, well, I didn't know. It doesn't count. I'm like, exactly. That's my whole point. You wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Because why would you know? Like,
I weirdly enough have as a gay person have never been to a gay bar or club or anything like that. This actually weirdly triggered something in my brain that I actually wanted to bring. Like, I thought about the other night, and I'm like, I should bring this up on the podcast with Ray because he probably has never. You may have heard of this, but I struggle from this thing called internalized homophobia.
okay.
So you're probably thinking, now how does that work when you're a gay person? Well, let me explain basically what internalized homophobia is. So for the longest time in my life, for more time than I haven't, I sheltered myself from all of those thoughts and feelings, blah, blah, blah. You probably know, if you've talked to a gay person, they'll probably tell you some version of, trying to hide, not ready to do all the boring stuff. We all know that. But basically, a lot of people seem to think that when you come out and when you're like, hey, world, I'm this, every other problem that surrounds yourself in your brain just goes away. Well, I am still, I guess you would say, fairly recent in my journey of that. I've only been out for just over 3 years, so it's pretty short. I come out pretty late in life. But I have this thing I noticed, especially when my first openly out relationship, when everyone kind of knew that I was a homosexual, I have this thing where I wouldn't hold hands in public. I wouldn't kiss someone in public. I wouldn't do all these things because in my brain, I go into auto defense mode. I still sometimes do it now, not as often as I used to, but sometimes you're like, oh my God, wait a minute. I'm not that. I'm not this. I've got to defend, and tell everyone that no, this thing that I tried to hide for so long. Sometimes I forget that I'm no longer trying to hide that. So in my brain, sometimes I get a little bit uncomfortable when someone is so much more open than I am. Now, I don't buy into any stereotypes or anything like that. A gay person is gay because they like someone of the same sex. That's it. There's no thing that you watch. There's no how you dress. There's none of that. I would consider myself somewhere where I'm just myself. The only reason I am gay is because I like other men. That's it. There's no other, oh, you must like Lady Gaga. Sure, she's fine. I also like Star Wars, and I like football, and I like, not every gay man likes drag queens and makeup, but some do, and that's completely fine. But for me, I sometimes still get in the zone of like, even sometimes when I'm around other gay people, whether it's in a romantic setting or not, I sometimes be like, I better be a man. I better man up here, and my voice will drop a little deeper. I will stand a little bit taller. Until kind of discovering what I was talking about before with my anxiety and depression and talking with a counselor and a psychiatrist that know a lot more about the human brain than me, is that my brain sets off a certain chemical that I just go into automatic self-defense mode where I'm like, oh, everything that I tried to... You can't just switch off everything that you tried to do for the first 24 years of your life. As a teenager, if someone was like, oh, you're gay or this, I automatically went autopilot and just said, no, I'm not, and thought of every reason why that isn't true.
Yeah.
Now, on the opposite side of things, I even thought, okay, because I don't think anyone, some people are more ready than others. I don't think anyone is ever truly ready to do that thing, but I just happened to do it at a certain time because I was like, I'm over this. So I just kind of came out. And even I thought, well, all my problems are going to go away now. I'm going to be open. I'm going to be comfortable. Here I am. That's not the case. I'm a very comfortable person. I'm pretty comfortable in my own skin. But you don't know some of the things that is going to happen. So my internalized homophobia is not because I hate gay men. That's not the truth at all. It's that in my brain, the bad things about me are what make me me. So I try to stop showing people, even though everyone under the sun knows that I am a gay person. So it is weird how you talk about your colleague being like, oh, he is just the typical stereotype. It's probably everyone. I hate the term of like, oh, those people probably are gay. It's like, no, they just are. They are not comfortable within their own brain of like, whatever it may be. So I know that I have this thing, and I have tried to actively, when it's going in my brain, tried to stop it. But there's just if I see a gay person on TV and I'm sitting in a room with a bunch of people, I'll automatically go, oh, I'm not like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is really weird how that happens. So I don't know if you've ever heard of that before, but
I haven't.
I have discovered it. Yeah, I've discovered that about myself, and I'm working on it, I guess you could say. But yeah, I don't buy into that stereotype crap though. Like I hate when people are like, oh, you must like this or you must hate this. It's like, no, I like sport, but I also sometimes like dancing to Britney Spears. There's no
Who doesn't?
But yeah, honestly, it's good with you because listen, honestly, again, the divide between straight and all of that is just dumb to me. But the stereotype out there is that, oh, these guys can't be friends because of, and it's like, no, it's just 90% of the people in my life are straight. And that's awesome. I love that people are all different and all of that. But I just surround myself with people that are actually not douchebags. So, I can still be friends with straight guys, and there's nothing more to that, guys. And I would Every straight guy that has a problem with that, they're like, oh, they might hit on me. I'm like,
Yeah, that's
I'm not gonna hit on my straight friends. A, it's rude because they're not gay, and B, ew,
yeah,
I'm not doing that.
yeah. I 100% agree. Like, I find it so like arrogant and self-centered when someone's like, "Well, what if they hit on me?" Like, no. And the way that I see it, like, there's, I know my favorite show. One of the favorite shows I said was Ted Lasso, and there's this great big long speech in Ted Lasso about how people used to judge him, and then he seen a sign once that said, "Be curious, not judgmental," because everyone's quick to judge what you're doing, but maybe find out why. And then,
Ooh.
so
Whoa.
like, maybe just be curious instead of judgmental. So like, I'm glad you went down this road, because I wanted to bring up as well, because I feel like a little bit, I didn't give it sort of the time that it needed last week when you brought up the lanyard, and that was part of your coming out story. And I wanted to ask you more about that and what happened and the story around it, because yeah, I am curious about it, because why wouldn't I be? Like, I'm not just gonna, I don't want to just play it off because it's nothing, because it is something. It was a big part of who you are. It was a big part of your life. It was probably a drastic part of your life. I couldn't imagine like what that was like, and so yeah, I actually wanted to bring it up just to ask about that.
Yeah. Apologies if I still get a little emotional about it sometimes, because I don't talk about it all that much in depth. So I do apologize if I do get a little emotional, just because it still is, it feels like a lifetime ago, but it does feel like yesterday, and I can still feel the feelings that I had when that kind of happened. But like I said, I come out only 3 years ago. I'm nearly 28. I come out when I was 24. So a lot of people around me are like, whoa, you waited a long time. And there's a whole thing of me that's like, I missed a big chunk of my growing up because I wasn't comfortable enough to kind of just be ready to tell anyone. When I say that I came out when I was 24, a lot of people around me were like, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But I hadn't told anyone. I literally had not told a soul, other than the few little, I guess I'll just call them experiments that I had in my early 20s. But I hadn't told anyone. Like, no one around me knew. The people closest to me knew. I didn't know. But I was in a funk. I mean, I was in a bad spot in my life in like my latter part of my early 20s, like that 23-ish zone. I was in a horrible spot mentally. I was like, at that time, I had come to the terms with what I was. I spent a lot of years of confusion, because it's not just like, I guess I'm not going to speak for anyone but myself, but I guess it is pretty different for some people, of being like, some people might just know. I didn't know. Throughout my teenage years, I did not know. Despite what people around me may have thought about me, I truly had no idea. I had girlfriends in high school. It was just an odd feeling. There's no real rate. It's not so much confusion. It's just odd. You're like, what's happening? I'm not like every other kid, especially at that time in your life too, dude. Like anybody, 15, 16, 17 is a weird time. Your body's changing. You're feeling feelings that you're like, what is going on? Like, what the hell? You're learning about yourself in general. Hormones are crazy. You just, it's the hardest point in your life when it's not. But it's interesting. So about 22, 23, I was feeling pretty awful. Like, I was ready. This might sound dramatic to some people, but I was ready to live a life where I never told a soul. I'll marry a nice woman, and I'll just be happy. Because this wasn't about like finding women completely repulsive or anything like that. I surrounded myself with and I still do, a lot of great women. Women are fantastic, and a lot of my biggest issue is that I'm physically attracted to men, but sometimes emotionally attracted to women. And that's a weird zone to be in too. But yeah, I was in a pretty bad spot in my life, and I was like, it wasn't just one day I woke up and I was like, I'm going to do this tonight. A solid year of just being like, what would it be like? What about if I just did it? And I thought of all of these ways that I could be like, I'm going to scream it from a rooftop. I'm going to do all this. And about 6 months before I came out, I told myself, I said, I don't want to post anything. I just want to record a video and say it out loud, because I really hadn't said it out loud in a recorded state where I could watch it back. So about 6 months before I did it, I sat down, I went to click record, and I just couldn't do it. I was like, what? I just couldn't get the words out of my mouth. So on and off for that 6 months, I was like, I'm going to do it. Today's the day. I'm going to do it. Just couldn't do it. And then I remember this day, very, very weirdly, I remember this day, June 18th, 2020. I woke up like any other day. I remember because we're in the middle of a pandemic. Like, we didn't really have anything, but I was working retail at that point. I was working at Woolies. I was going to work, coming home. We were kind of in that zone of just being like, staying away from people. So you just had a lot more time in front of a screen. And I was like, I didn't wake up and just plan I'm going to do this. It was a normal day. It was a Thursday. So I believe I watched Dynamite that day, AEW, if anyone's a pro wrestling fan. I just did my thing. It was a day off work. And I just got to around, I remember the time because it was 4:36 when I looked at the clock. I remember really vividly certain things of this day. And I was like, Just kind of like looked around and I was like, today I'm just going to record that video. I'm just going to do it. Sat down. It took me a while to sit down. The video's around, I have the video. I'll put it in the description of the YouTube side of things and I'll send it over to Ray as well so you can put it in the podcast version of things. I just kind of sat down and I was like, I'm going to record this. It took me a while. It's around a 17-minute video and I just recorded it. One take. I didn't stop. I didn't edit it. I just wanted to record it to get off my chest. And I was like, wow, it didn't necessarily feel good. It just felt like something was gone out of me. And I was like, cool. Didn't think about it for an hour or so. I had my dinner, all that. And I was like, you know what? I'm never going to be ready. I said that out loud to myself. I live alone. I said that out loud and I said, I'm never going to be ready to ever post this video. So I'm just going to do it. Wasn't this big elaborate thing. It wasn't this thing. And I wanted to post it on the internet because it was the easiest way to tell everyone at once without me having to go. Of course, there was a few things I had to, cross my T's and dot my I's. My sister lived very close to me and I said, I have a much older brother, a much younger brother, but me and my sister are the closest in age. We kind of grew up together in a sense, and I was like, I need to tell my sister and my brother-in-law, who happens to also be my best friend, which I've talked about before. I just said, it was 8:37 at night at this stage, and I just said, I need to come talk to you guys. And then, people like, why? Why do you need to come talk to me? And I'm like, can I just please come and talk to you guys? And they're like, okay, we're just watching a movie in bed. Sure. So I walk in, I just kind of looked around and they were like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? And I just literally told them. I was like, I'm gay. I'm ready to tell people. I'm sorry if that makes you uncomfortable. And then I just started crying because it was just like, whoa, I just told the two of the most important people in my life. I'm like, yep. And then they just it went silent. And that's the scariest thing because you're like, you don't know what's going to be on. I know my family. I know they're great. But you don't know what's going to be on the other side of that sentence. You really don't. And it felt like an eternity. I'm sure it was only a couple of seconds. I was just kind of standing there. My sister looked at me in my eyes and we're not like lovey-dovey. We're not like huggy. We're like, ew, yuck, get away from me. But she just kind of said, it's fine. And I was like, awesome. My brother-in-law gave me a big hug. I just kind of let it, and I said, I'm going to go and tell my mum. I'm going to go and tell my older brother was very hard to tell, because, it's your older brother. You don't want to let anyone down. Everyone was cool. My family was cool. My mum told me she loved me. That's all you want to hear. Yeah. She loved you. I posted the video and it was just like, nearly 10 o'clock at night at this stage. It was like, like just notification after notification after comment after comment after comment. And just like, I can't even tell you the amount of like people that were just like, oh my God, like, thank you for sharing. Again, probably pause this and go and watch for context of that coming out video, because I talk a lot about a lot of things. It's not just that sentence. It takes a long time for me to take that sentence in. Sorry, this is such a long-winded answer.
No,
but
definitely.
I'm just on a rampage at this stage. It's just a lot. But yeah, I just got a lot of support from people. I had to go to work the next day. Again, I've lived in this town that I've lived in since I was 7 years old. Everyone and their dog knows who I am. It was terrifying. I was ready. I tried to even text my boss the next day and be like, I'm sick, I'm not coming to work. And he was like, no, you're not. And he gave me support. And yeah, I got a lot of love and just a lot of support. Sure, there's some people that maybe don't associate with me now, within my family and people, but whatever. I knew that was a possibility. For the most part, I've had a pretty good story. I have a lot of love in my life, but just a whirlwind, comment after comment. I was up all night that night just reading people's words, like people that I hadn't talked to in years, that had moved away from this place, and I went to high school with, like Instagram DMs and Facebook DMs of being like paragraphs like this of just like, holy crap, like you actually, it's weird that you can touch someone's life without even realizing what you're doing. And I didn't do it. I know this sounds really selfish, but I did that stuff for no one but myself. That was the way that I wanted to do it. I needed to take that time for me. I still read those comments someday on Facebook and on Twitter, and just go, what? Like, you just feel so small, but you just get so much, the love is so bright. But it was terrifying. Like, I was terrified of doing anything for a long time after that video. I press post on that video, and there's no taking that back once you post that. Sure, you can delete it, but someone's going to see that, and then it's just odd. Yeah. I posted it. I kind of let it slide for a minute, then posted a caption on Facebook, and it just said, like, yes, I am gay. Please take time to watch this video. And, like, it was the most terrified, the most relieved, the most ready I ever felt. It was truly... I don't even know. It was just very scary. Yeah. Because I didn't know, you didn't know what was going to happen when you don't know. Like, I know it sounds dramatic, but people literally get killed over this kind of crap.
Yeah, definitely.
I didn't know. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen, just simply for the way I want to live my life. And it makes no difference to anyone else's life but mine.
No.
But it was terrifying. Like, I still have an issue. I talk about it with my family. But it's not like I'm just, waving a rainbow flag in their face. It's terrifying to talk about it, because it's that feeling of, I didn't want to disappoint. My mum did not have me as a child and then one day he's going to grow up and he's going to like other men. That's not the vision that any parent has for their kid.
I don't. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm different. But like, as a parent, there is nothing that Rory could do that would make me love him any less. Like, sexual preference, nothing. Like, I mean, if he was a supporter, it'd be a little bit different. But
ooh, yuck. But like, I think it's more so like, sure, I could be just talking out of my ass here, but when you close your eyes you just want your kids to grow up, and sure, you want them to be happy, but you probably don't envision your son with another man. You know what I mean? You're just like, okay, one day he's going to find a nice woman, they're going to have some kids and be done. It's not to say that it's a disappointment, or it's just not, it's not what society paints as that is the quote unquote normal life. You know what I mean? 100%. So there was just that feeling of like, I don't want to disappoint. Me and my dad don't speak to one another, so his opinion didn't matter, but I didn't want to disappoint my mother. Like, she's the most important woman in your life for a son, you know what I mean? Like, she's the first woman you love and you feel support and all of that kind of stuff from. So I didn't want to disappoint her out of everybody, but I knew she would be fine. She attacks people on the internet if they attack me. My mum's insane, but like, I didn't want to disappoint. And you don't, even as a kid for me though, I didn't sit down at 7 years old and when school's talking about when you're a grown up one day and you have children with your wife, like, I didn't know any different. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I thought was normal. And what I'm learning is that no, normal is many different things, and I'm not different or weird for doing what I do. But yeah, it was a very frightening time in my life. It was a solid chunk of time after that. But in all honesty, 3 years later, I said I have my issues with things, but I'm pretty comfortable in my own skin, and it's made me have a very thick skin with things. Like, I can take a lot of crap that a lot of people can't do. I will never do something in my life that is as scary as that. It made it so much easier to do the things that I thought was quite terrifying.
Yeah.
I'm like, actually, not really. And it is something that, at the end of the day, this isn't like an attack on you, Ray, at all, but like, you did not have to come out as straight.
Yeah, 100%. I 100% that get that. And when I was saying about me not having that feeling for Roy, I'm not saying at all in any way that that feeling is invalid, because I could only imagine, like, as you said, there's nothing that I'll have to do that'll have that at all. But what I meant by that is, like, since becoming a parent, you get a perspective of what your parents went through in a way. And yes, the older generation aren't that curious. They aren't that, that wasn't a big thing. It wasn't on the TVs. It wasn't on the screens. So I get where you're coming from there. My point, was more like, once I've become a parent, I can be like, oh shit, I would have been such a shit kid to be a parent of, because like, now I know that love for a kid. So you can only imagine that your parents are feeling the same things. Like,
yeah, I'm not a parent, so I guess I can't get in that headspace of like,
no.
oh my God, like, there's nothing, like, I think I said this to you a couple of weeks ago, or even last week, like, I couldn't imagine, like, you created that, and the love is so different than any other love in the world. But it's just, it's just a very strange, it's not like, the coming out is not like the moment that everyone paints the picture in the movies with.
Yeah.
It's not that. It is a variety of emotions that is like happiness and terror. Like, you're just terrified and you're frightened, but you're relieved, and you're like, you kind of get in a zone of like, I was in the zone of like, fuck it. What's really, what's really going to happen if I do this?
But then there's also no handbook on like what comes next. Like you said, you came out at 24. So like, what next?
It's like,
what do you do?
The next day is just, I'm married to a man and I live happily ever after. Like, no, that doesn't happen. It took me a long time to even be comfortable enough after coming out to even be in a relationship, let alone find love. Like, it took me a long time to get that spot where I'm like, cool. And even still then, like I told you before, I didn't hide it, but I was pretty low-key about certain things. It took me a long time to tell my family about said man. And then he ended up being a douchebag.
They all are.
Yeah, they all are. But then, it just... I feel like I've taken up so much time talking about myself on this episode. I'm very sorry.
I'm really appreciative that you're comfortable enough to do it.
Listen, if not that I am changing anyone's life, but that being said, I have a 13-year-old half brother. I call him my brother. He's my half brother.
I know
we have
what you
different
mean.
dads, but he's my brother. And he was the easiest person to tell, because that generation they're just like, it's just in our lives. Like, Zach literally said to me, and he didn't mean it in a rude way. He was a kid. He was 10 at the time. He was like, okay.
Yeah.
He was like, what's the big deal here? Like, and he kind of just was like, fine. And it's just, as he's grown up, he's just, people in his school are now more, like, there's trans people and there's non-binary people. Like, they're learning at a much younger age. And I know a lot of people listen, just shut up. Let people do their things. It's just a lot more in society than it was. Even when I was a kid, it was not like it is now. So he was like the easiest person to tell. But if I can I'm fairly open about things like that on TikTok or on my Twitter and that. The amount of love I have for Josh Dunkley. Oh my God, everyone's seen those tweets. They're horrible. But like me just being comfortable in my own skin, you never know who's reading that and is like, huh. And, some people in this world never come out. Some people come out when they're 17, or whatever it may be. So I'm fairly comfortable for a reason, because you never know what your audience is reaching, even if it's small. It's still someone that, and it gives people better perspective of where I'm at in my brain as well. Because I don't know, like I said, I'm pretty much an open book. I'll tell anyone that asks. Clearly. So even for someone like you who, again, I don't like to divide straight people and gay people and like, it's dumb. But there's just differences in our lives that we have, and it gives you a better perspective of like, holy shit, like I didn't realize that happened, or just how you think about things as well, because it shows my mind as well. I'm like, oh, you must think I'm some kind of fucking freak, which isn't the case.
Not at all.
Yeah,
But
holy crap, I just went on a tangent. Holy shit.
No, that's right. As I said, I like to try and be curious, not judgmental. So, and like, I'm in such a privileged position to be what I am. Whatever, like, I don't even think that's the right word, like, but I
know what you're saying is that it's just, you don't have to, when you meet someone for the first time, it's just, everyone just assumes, and I still do it, you just assume straight man, happily, whatever. I have to come out every time I meet someone new.
Yeah.
And that is and it's not as dramatic as it sounds. But again, when I meet someone new, they either have to kind of get to know me and then go, I don't want to offend him. What's he doing? Or I have to just be like, I'm gay. And again, you truly never know what's going to be on the end of that sentence.
Yeah.
You do not know what's on the other side of that. You do not know how this person's going to react. You do not know what that person is going to say. And I have experienced homophobia in my life. It's not very nice. It's very derogatory. It's very nasty and just mean-spirited. I truly, maybe I'm just a small thinker, but I cannot understand why someone can be so angry towards me just living so out of their world.
Yeah.
But I have experienced it. It's not great. I've also experienced where I've been treated better just because I am, and that's also not great either. Because you're not even getting to know me as a person. I could be a murderer, and you're just treating me nice because I am gay. Yeah. It's not a great feeling. So, yeah, for me, I have to kind of vaguely come out every single time I meet a new person.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah, so, like, as I said to you right at the start of this whole process that I've been trying to get media jobs, and there's one media outlet that I won't name, but let's just say, like, they're Australia's broadcaster. And they've got a question on all their applications that says, how were you treated differently, or how were you in the workplace? I can't remember the wording they use, but basically, how were you treated differently because of your sex, gender, or colour? Like sex, identity, or colour, basically.
Yeah, sexual. Yeah. I got you.
And what can I do? Like, basically, I can't answer that question. I'm not going to get that job because there is no, people like me don't get treated poorly at work. Do you know what I mean?
Just based on purely
do,
of what you look like,
because of
how you,
So,
it's not. No, again, people, I'm not trying to preach on anyone here. I'm not just saying like Ray has it easy because he's a straight white. That's not. There's other complications that go beyond all of that. But I'm just saying I am still very privileged because I am a white man. I'm pretty presenting as like a straight guy. So like people just automatically assume sometimes I am until they get to know me and they're like, perhaps not. But like, you know what I mean? Like to the general public, they don't. So I'm in a pretty privileged position. I'm not, and I hate that we still live in that kind of world, but we do. When people say that sexism isn't a thing anymore and racism and all of that is not true at all. People do it internally in society. It's still preached like that. Yes, okay, society has come a long way and progressed a long way from a long time ago, but also I think in a lot of ways we've kind of degressed back into a lot of awful ways if you just see world events and all that kind of stuff. But yes, I guess all in all, we're very different people, but we're all the same at the end of the day.
Definitely. Bit of a lighter topic. I have to make a retraction and an apology from last week's episode to my lovely girlfriend who hit me up on Friday at about lunchtime and said, I need you to make an apology because I did not read the menu already for where we were going to brunch.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
hell yeah.
I already know what's on there and I know what I'm getting, but I didn't look at it. So she'd already been, because we'd already been there, she knew what she was going to get, but she hadn't looked at it. So I've got to apologize.
One day, I don't know if it will ever happen or if she'll ever feel comfortable in doing so, but we need to get her on this show because I would like to have a chat with your lovely girlfriend because I think we would get along.
Yeah, I think you would as well, but definitely. So yeah, we went out, had a lovely brunch. Riley O'Brien was at the cafe with us.
Oh, big Rob, all right.
Extraordinaire. But yeah, no, it was good. But yeah, I had to apologise for saying that she would have looked at the menu already, which I think she got out of by default, not default. But yes,
same thing, whatever.
Also,
well, yeah, okay. Well, that's good that you made that apology because you. So we've got at least we know we got one regular listener.
That's right.
Is your girlfriend?
She did listen and pulled me up on that. But yes, I'm trying to
spot out. That's awesome.
I'm trying to think of something that made me smile recently, and I'm trying to do something different than just kids stuff.
Oh, well, while you're thinking of that, I do want to talk about a couple of things that are on lighter notes. We talk about, we love music. We both are music junkies. We love very different kinds of music, and that's fine. But we just love music. I pretty safe to say that we're similar in the fact that music is probably one of the, best things in my life. Like, I can just vibe out to music, whether it's in the shower, in the car, whatever, just around the house. I just love music. Music makes any kind of situation, it just enhances the situation.
Yeah.
I've said, I think I said to you, I've said in general, just on my social medias, I'm very into alternative music. I listen to a lot of alternative pop punk, pop rock, emo, I guess you could say, if that's still a genre these days, but that's my kind of space. I listen to a lot of kinds of music, but that's my wheelhouse. I've been vibing out lately. Well, today especially, I knew that I would like this band, but when you get told by people you would really like this band, so automatically sometimes, because I'm a bit of a shit, I just go, I'm not going to listen to that because you're telling me to listen to it, so get wrecked. But I love Bring Me the Horizon. I've always kind of liked them. I kind of like their style. So I've basically gotten on the bandwagon of Bad Omens, which is very similar to Bring Me the Horizon. That kind of it's emo music, let's just be completely honest. It's I hate my life, but there's rock music behind it. It's awesome.
Yeah, there's heavy guitar and drums.
And you're hell yeah, big choruses. It's just awesome. So, for anyone that's listening to this that loves Bad Omens, oh my God, I'm on that train, and it just took me so long to get on that train, but I am here. And when you discover a new band or a new artist, and that's all you want to listen to, you're what situation can I have where I can put this thing on and just listen to nothing else, but you just vibe with them for a week, and then it just becomes a part of your regular rotation. I have a playlist on Spotify. It's called Sick Jams That Make Me Physically Ill. It's my favorite playlist. It's got all my favorite bands in it. It's where you'll find just, if I want to put something on in the car with someone and I just want to listen to Josh tunes, that's the playlist I go to, because it's just got, people can kind of get a good sense of all of the kind of vibes that I like music wise, and then you can judge accordingly. But yeah, Bad Omens, I have recently discovered as a band, and I'm like very into it. So if there's anyone listening that likes Bad Omens, hit us up. Please hit me up and just be like, let's just talk about how great this band
I'm
is. So
looking it up
if
now.
I would say, if you like Bring Me the Horizon, you'll like Bad Omens because they're in that wheelhouse.
Okay, I'm just
kind of
putting it into my playlist.
Do you like? Are you like an alternative like emo kind of music guy?
Yeah.
Then you'll probably. There's like light screamo to it, but like very light in little. Because I don't love screamo, but I like it in little increments. So
Like
I'm
a
like,
little bit of
it
Amityville
works
section?
here. Yeah, sure, like that. It's like very like melodic, and it's like the lyrics. If you read them, you're like, wow, this is heartbreaking. But then it's like, brah, and it's like it's the music I listened to as a teenager. I kind of fell out of it for a couple of years, and then I got right back into it in my early 20s, and was like, this is my love. Like, so yeah, it's Bad Omens. Oh my goodness, I'm so into it. I'm so into it. Yeah, but I just wanted to say I did have something else, but it's completely slipped off of my brain. So
Yeah,
whatever.
I've actually been what I've been listening to, and I don't know, my music taste varies so much. So I told you at the start, I listen to country music, and I listen to a bit of that sort of pop punk sort of stuff. But I was talking to a friend of the project, Matt, who is a musical theatre major, and
I'd get along with him.
yeah, so we were talking about musicals, and I've been listening to the Book of Mormon and Hamilton soundtrack and the Wicked soundtrack, and you got to throw some High School Musical in there because get stuff with Zac Efron.
High School Musical.
So I've been listening.
Don't even
to like
get. I could go on
mix.
a tangent about High School Musical and Camp Rock. Those movies changed my life. I aspire to play Ryan in a movie one day. I want to be like, if they ever recreate High School Musical, I want to be Ryan. Sharpay and Ryan are the two greatest characters that Disney have ever created. You can quote me on that. Oh my god. But yeah, musical theater. Oh my god.
Yes.
Rent. Oh.
So I've been listening to a whole bunch of musicals numbers. So, I do that in my headphones at work because I'm sure I'd cop judgment if I did. But, as I always say, be curious.
Oh my god, yeah, like music's the like one thing that I do not give a crap about what other people think. I will jam to anything, windows down in the car. I'm a pretty loud music driver, and I will get on that tangent where I have Bring Me the Horizon, and it's Taylor Swift, and then it's Hannah Montana. Like and then it's Metallica, and it's like, what is this? This boy's definitely cooked. But music is just, there's no genre of music that I won't try because I'm just like, well, it's all got it's just
I love a story to music.
fun bits.
I love a song that tells a story. That's my favorite thing.
Me too. See, I like so my favorite kinds of songs, just in a generalized sense, is like, the songs that start really like quiet and
Build.
they kind of just have a lot of vocals and they build and build, and by like the third chorus they're just like, bah! There's a band, they're an Australian band called Ocean Grove. They have a few songs that, like, I heard the first before I got into that band. I was like, whoa, I kind of like that. And it kind of builds, and then really big choruses, and then it kind of goes down and kind of, you know Evanescence, right? Everyone knows Evanescence. The way My Immortal builds, but the band version, and it's like just the piano and just like Amy's beautiful voice, and then it kind of builds to like this beautiful, like, just like I love stuff like Evanescence were just in Australia, I feel. Am I making that up? I think they were just in Adelaide, to be completely honest. But I watched live performances of Evanescence, and they have like an orchestra backing to a lot of their music. They have a traveling orchestra with them, which I think is just like rock music, and like that classical vibe just mesh so well. I love when stuff, but yeah, they have like a full orchestra along with just like, Evanescence being Evanescence, and yeah, I love just songs that build just to a perfect crescendo, and it's like, wow, I could sit here and I can dissect music, and just I used to play piano as a kid. Like I truly, I have nothing but good things to say about music in my life, because I just adore it.
Yeah, me too. I feel like there's nothing that can change a mood more than the perfect song for the time. I actually thought there was a period in my life about 3 years ago where I thought Amy Shark was a time traveler and she was just like come back in time to like write about my life. Because
Amy Shark.
yeah, she gets it. She gets it. I'm trying.
I'm trying to think of like music like that. You know, when you just hear music and you're like, this song was wrote for me specifically. I'm trying to think of like a song or a band or an artist that have like just wrote music for me, but I can't really think of anyone off the top of my head.
When I was a teenager, I thought
hits.
Simple Plan's "I'm Just a Kid" was written about me. But now, now that I listen to it now, I'm like, no, it probably wasn't. I probably didn't get it like I should have. But then
I relate to that song more now than I did when I was 15.
correct. But
I'm like, wait a minute, like this is just me. When you hear music, so if you're sitting down to say it's just whatever for the first time, do you hear lyrics first or the instruments first?
lyrics.
See, so do I. I hear lyrics first, and then I'll listen to it again and kind of listen to the instrument part, and then I'll put it all together. But I'm words first, so I'll always be like, even if I don't hear every single lyric, I'll pick out a little section of like, oh, whoa, I like those lyrics there. Like, it's weird when when you're listening to a song for the first time, you're like, yeah, because some people don't. They hear like the music first, and then they hear lyrics second. But I'm always I even try to pay attention to lyrics first,
too.
even if I'm not trying to. Like, it just happens.
I won't even give
lyrics are a big
I
one.
won't even give songs a second chance if something about the lyrics just isn't right, or it's lazy, or if
really?
I'm a big lyrics guy when it comes to songs, and that's the country music thing, because country music's all about, they call it 3 chords and the truth. There's nothing tricky about the music, but what it is written really well, and it tells a story and it paints a picture. So
I always do appreciate too, even if it's just like, pop music. I always appreciate when, not that it always is like this, when a pop musician writes their own lyrics. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean that I won't like the song. I just appreciate it more when they've wrote the song. Like, I think someone that is a powerhouse singer is Kelly Clarkson, and she's openly said like 90% of the songs on her album she did not write. She just kind of gets them and sings them. I think everyone knows the story of Breakaway, and that was an Avril Lavigne song, and then they didn't want it for Avril, and Kelly was like, I'll sing it. Yeah. And obviously that song is now synonymous with her, and you're like, how could I hear this any other way? I know Avril released a version of it a couple years back, but that's like a Kelly Clarkson song, but she did not. Avril Lavigne wrote that. Yeah. So it's just like, it's not always the case, but yeah, I always appreciate when, I think that's why so many people love Taylor Swift, is because for the most part, I think actually all of her, I want to say all of her songs she writes herself.
Or at least co-writes on.
Yeah, exactly. So, and, we all know the story of her owning her masters and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know how we got to music, but we did, and I'm not mad about it.
No. I know we always struggle with finding a finish, so what made me smile recently, I'm going to go with something really trivial, because we both have said how much we like professional wrestling. I'm wearing a Judgment Day top at the moment.
Oh, I like that shirt.
Yeah,
because wrestling shirts smell. They're not the greatest, but
there's some that I really like, and I usually get them.
That's fair.
The visceral and out loud schoolgirl reaction I had on Saturday morning when The Rock music hit.
The Rock.
And I let out a little squeal that I was kind of glad that I was by myself watching at the time.
I was not by myself, and I did let out a little bit of a scream. So I had my little brother for the weekend. He stayed over at my house for the weekend. Kind of gave my mum a little bit of a rest. I know. Great son I am. I just said, I'll take Zach for the weekend. He's a teenager. Listen, he can
fend for himself,
be a little shit when he wants to be. Yeah, so he come over Saturday morning. He's like, I'm just going to have a quick shower. And I'm like, cool. I'm like, Zach, you might want to hurry up. He likes wrestling. I said, Pat McAfee's here. I don't know why. So he's still in the shower. And as he kind of walked out, he's like, oh, Pat McAfee's here. And as this Pat McAfee said, whatever the line was, the people's reaction or like the people's show. And then that hit. I literally like stood up off my couch and was like, what the actual hell? Like, what is going on? Because it's Rock and he's a rather busy individual. So yeah, I let out a massive yell. Glad my windows and that were closed because my neighbors would not have been. Even my little brother was like, "What in the hell?" Like, it was that did make me smile as well. Actually, that was something that was just like, "What
so
is happening?"
And
yeah,
the reaction, the reaction took me back to being a kid.
It's huge, wasn't it?
Girlfriend had just walked out the door as it happened, so I'd like jumped up and was like, Rock's here. And then she was sort of walking past the laundry window and I was like knocking on it going, the Rock's here. And she's like, okay. What?
I messaged my sister and was like, you need to like start, like turn on Smack, but start it again. She's like, why? I'm like, just please, just because she doesn't really watch every week. She'll kind of like, trickle in here and there. But I was like, please just watch it from the start and don't look on the internet. And she's like, okay, like thinking, nothing, something just random. And she was like, oh my God, it's the freaking Rock. I don't know what's going on with my hair. It's just, it's where at the end of the episode, I guess. So, but yeah, it was like, that is something that
just giving me that kid nostalgia. Felt like a teenager again.
Big feels.
I feel like we needed that light little nostalgic one at the end because it was a pretty heavy episode.
Oh yeah,
you know what?
Yeah, that was a happy. I again, that's 2 weeks in a row we've gone kind of heavy. So this is the kind of vibe of the show that I guess we're going with. Also, we should probably state that last week at the very end of this episode, we said go Giants, and they won. The freaking Giants won, and it was the greatest Saturday. It started off with the Rock, and it ended with the Giants rolling Port over. So flag Giants all the way. Why not? They have a great social media presence. Shout out Cooper Hamilton if you're listening to this. Top tier work, Giants socials. Yeah. I even bought a Giants t-shirt today.
Good job.
I did.
There you go.
So go Orange team. So I guess at the time of tonight, they are in a prelim. So go Giants. Why not, Ray? Like, what have we really got to lose?
And Monday, actually tomorrow during the day, I have a doctor's appointment at work, and I am interviewing Mariana Rajic from the AFLW, Crows assistant coach, former player. If you've been to a Crows game, she does the game day announcement. So I'll be interviewing her tomorrow during the day, during my doctor's appointment.
Yes, very serious.
And then Monday night for the project, we have a Brownlow special. So it's going to be Brownlow night. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that. That could be a bit of fun.
It's a good time. Listen, I know it's like footy season is coming to an end, and I'm like, meh. But it's like Brownlow. I know it's like it's like 4 hours of just like, just get to the end. But I love it too. I love when they read out all their freaking initials and you're like, oh my God, there's just nothing better. And then you got AFL Grand Final Day. There's nothing like that. So we've got a good, and then next week on the show, I'm probably sure we'll talk about the AFL Grand Final at some point because it will just be topical this time next week. But yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. Definitely. And then, of course, the only other thing we didn't talk about on this show, and as we kind of wrap up, is that probably by the time this is out, me and Ray will be very much organised of going to Western Australia at the very start of the year because we love professional wrestling and we're not going to miss the chance to go to a stadium show because we don't know when it's going to happen again. So WWE are coming in March, or at this probably the time this releases, it'll be very much announced, but it's rumoured February, March. So I guess we're going to be live in Perth.
Yes, definitely. Who knows? But anyway, I guess that's us done. I guess we'll just press stop record and speak to these guys.
That sounds great to me. We need to get the music all sorted, Ray. We gotta have like a nice outlay.
Yeah,
like bye bye, you know?
Bye bye. Yeah, exactly.
Bye bye.
That's my next week's job, okay? All right.
Bye bye.
Bye bye everyone. Check our socials.